So as we open up the chapter on personality, I want to introduce you to my friend at the bottom right-hand part of your screen. This is Pepper, and Pepper is a robot that's been programmed for special settings, and I want you to watch that video that I posted on Blackboard for it. And I want you to consider, how is Pepper, what Pepper does, how different is that from what you've seen or heard about in other robotic beings? And think about, we actually are using artificial intelligence or robotic devices in things like receptionist areas. And so as we look at Pepper, you know, think about it for yourself. Do you think that he could actually replace a receptionist? And what would be a good reason to keep Pepper? Pepper has a lot of real good things going for him, but there are also some negative things. So I want you to watch that and come up with your own answers to this. And then what I want you to do is decide, can Pepper have a personality? All right. So we talked before about nature nurture, and I'm going to introduce you to two brothers, and we've talked about the power of genes, but we've also talked about the power of the environment. And so when we're looking at two brothers, one, you know, they're raised in an abusive household, and one becomes an alcoholic. He actually was arrested for drugs and DUI, and yet the other brother became our president. So what is the difference here? And so since we're talking about personality, the question would be, does personality itself have something to do with how they turn out? So when we're looking at personality by definition, understand these three things. First of all, it is this common core of characteristics that we carry with them. These characteristics that we carry with us, these characteristics actually influence how we think, how we act, and how we feel. So where one person may react in a very positive way to a situation, someone else may act very negatively. You know, how we process thoughts is based on our personality, and how we feel is based on our personality. And research has indicated that these traits are pretty much lifelong. That does not mean that you can't change certain things. We can learn to adapt to situations. However, our basic personality is still there. So we're kind of overriding what our personality tells us to do. All right, so we're looking at some different perspectives again, and this is old stuff. Dust off that chapter 1 note book that you've got. And let's look at personality through the different eyes that we have here, the different perspectives. So just to go back over them again, remember, we're going to explain your personality if we're using the psychoanalytic theory. We're going to explain how you act, how you think, how you feel, and link it to those early experiences that you had as a child. We're going to look at the unconscious, so what is kind of hidden from you due to situations and trauma. All right, and then if we're looking at you from the behavioral perspective, we're going to say that you are the way that you are because of environmental or different life experiences, and you've learned to do that. It's different than Freud, because when we're looking at psychoanalytic, we're talking about you're not even aware of this. With the behavioral, we're saying we actually pick up these things. The humanistic is going to be the viewpoint that you act the way that you do because you know what, people are basically good. It's this feel-good kind of Mr. Rogers perspective of people, and that we act or think or feel the way that we do because we're just trying to become the best us we can be. When we're looking at the social cognitive, we're joining that whole, your social aspect with how you think. And so our social influences are going to dictate how we think. Biological, we've talked about before, it's genetics. It's going to be things like brain trauma, how much our chemicals are sufficient in our body or maybe insufficient. And we're introducing a brand new one to you, the trait perspective. So the trait perspective is taking place anytime that you are measuring behavior. So trait perspective, if you've ever taken one of those crazy social media quizzes to find out what kind of dog are you, what kind of plant are you, that would be a pretend trait perspective. So we're testing and we're measuring.